NGOs are cashing out on the destruction of Makoko by Governor Sanwo-Olu. I think as far as I'm concerned, that's a poor sense of, he's trying to be mischievous by now, really. And if there's anybody benefiting from Makoko, first I'll ask, and I'm challenging him to show proof, to show any agreement or anything that he has seen or any document he has that NGOs are cashing out from the Makoko situation. If there's anybody cashing out from Makoko, it is the Lagos State government.
Say that again.
The Lagos State government received $200 million from the World Bank as we expressed here to upgrade Makoko, to build basic infrastructure, to provide social services in Makoko. But till today, it did nothing. So the question is, what did it do with the $200 million that it got from the World Bank? The Lagos State government is the one benefiting from the crisis in Makoko because it has entered engagement with strange developers to land grab, to steal people's sweat. So where are the monies that are exchanged in order to grab people's houses and people's livelihoods? So if there is anybody or any institution that is being criminal, I would say it is the Lagos State government. The last time we were at the House of Assembly, and we heard them talking about how they like citizens that are not unruly, citizens that are calm. The question is, how can anybody be calm when they've been sleeping under? The thing is that the Lagos State government assumes everybody is as heartless and insensitive as it is, so that it cannot believe that people are moved to show sympathy, that people are being displaced, children are being thrown out of schools. Everything the government does is for profit, for extraction. So you cannot believe that you can be kind to a fellow human being without money involved. And so that is why we are saying it today. If there is anybody that is a criminal, it's the Lagos State government. Because we have seen that it uses the narrative of criminality, just like it has criminalized the waterfront and said that there are criminals here that exist there. Lagos State is the criminal personality that is engaging in illegal activity. So it has to check itself. And so people have been asking, does Governor Sanwo-Olu know what is going on? Is he aware? I think that is a very absurd question. As far as I'm concerned, the man is not suffering from amnesia. If he has a health problem that does not allow him to remember things, then he has to step down. So that somebody who is more in charge, who is more aware, can get into the position and do what is right. Because he's not aware, but he knows there's a power from above that is asking that the demolition continues in the community. The government, and let me say something. When we talk about resettlement, we should be careful. We are not asking that the Lagos State government relocate residents who have been living in a place that is legal for years without any fundamental or serious reason. As far as we are concerned, Makoko is not an illegal community. It is a legal community. And the government has had no basis to enter that community and begin to erase the existence of that community. It is a shame that the government travels up and down. It goes to different places. The city of Venice is built on water.
Yes.
If you go to small, these African countries, there are houses like Makoko. They are waterfront communities. Yes. Even in Cambodia, even in Thailand, even in different places across the world. Just like you live on land, there are communities that live on water. They derive their existence from water. They are fishermen, they are fisherwomen, they are waterfolks. So the same government has refused to provide hospital on land, that has refused to build road on land. When you go, all the roads are broken. You can't even, you that is on land, you can't even drive without repairing your car every week. It has refused to provide running water. Imagine the way it treats you on land. That is the same way it has treated the people on water. That has refused to provide anything. Even the ones given to him has swallowed it. That's accounting for it. So what we have discovered is that convenient excuse anytime you want to ask or demand for accountability for government to say, oh, it's criminals that are giving them, oh, they are paying them. The questions are simple. Ask the Lagos state government, what did he do with $2 million? Who are the people who are sandfilling Makoko now, trying to sandfill the entire area? What is going to happen to the schools that they are demolished? Students are now going to be out of school. What is the state going to do about it? What is it going to do about the homes that they are demolished? So these are the questions to ask Sanwo-Olu, and you should stop being smart by half.
As has been said earlier, we are here to address the Lagos State government's systemic, illegal, cruel, and deceitful forced evictions. This press conference is a demand for justice, accountability, and resettlement for Makoko and other affected communities in Lagos State. We, the undersigned national and international human rights, environmental and social justice organizations, including concerned citizens across the country, strongly condemn the Lagos State government's systemic, illegal, cruel, and deceitful demolitions, displacement, and land grabbing in underprivileged communities, including Makoko, Oroshoki, Owode-Oniri, Otumara, and Baba-Ijora. These actions against thousands of peaceful, hardworking residents represent a deliberate pattern of state-enabled violence against the urban poor, carried out to clear valuable land for elite interests and private mega developments with little or no notice, consultation, compensation, or even resettlement plan. What is unfolding in these waterfronts and informal settlements is not urban renewal as claimed by the state. It is state-created homelessness, engineered through brute force, and justified with shifting and mischievous narratives. These demolitions overwhelmingly and increasingly continue to target the poor, including fishermen and women, traders, children, the elderly, and persons with disabilities who have neither the political power nor the economic means to resist. By destroying homes without alternatives, the government has plunged thousands into acute humanitarian distress and crisis, exposing families to hunger, disease, illiteracy, violence, and death. This is a vicious cycle in which the Lagos State government creates homelessness and then abandons the victims to survive on their own. It has been shown that this pattern of the state has increased or caused an increase in crime in our society. And there has been a pattern to this. This thing happening in Makoko is not an isolated incident. In Otodogbame, between November 2016 and April 2017, over 30,000 residents were expelled in violation of court orders. Oroshoki in 2023, and it's still ongoing. Orisumibare in February 2024. Oto in March 2024. And Okobaba in September 2024 have all been victims of the wickedness and cruelty of the Lagos State government. In Ilaja Otumara and Baba-Ijora in March 2025, government demolition squads, including armed thugs, visited those communities, leaving over 10,000 people homeless. Residents who are poor were evicted without prior notice and forced to flee with no time to collect their belongings as bulldozers razed their homes, businesses, and places of worship. Individuals and families affected are now displaced and sleeping on the streets. And many have lost not just their homes, but also their source of livelihoods. the destruction of homes, markets, and fishing areas have also severely impacted food security, leaving many struggling to access daily meals. In Oworoshoki, the government of Babajide Sanwo-Olu began its unlawful demolition in 2023. In October 2025, hundreds of homes were demolished in the middle of the night when people were still asleep, or while people were still asleep. The Lagos State Government Task Force, comprising officials from the Ministry of Fiscal Planning and Urban Development, and the Lagos State Building Control Agency, that's LASCA, accompanied by heavily armed security operatives, carried out the demolition from about 10 p.m. Bulldozers pulled down homes with occupants, leaving them with little or no time to gather their belongings. Tear gas was repeatedly and indiscriminately fired, and residents were injured while attempting to flee the scene. Residents who protested and attempted to resist this injustice were beaten up, arrested, and locked up in Kirikiri and Ikoyi prisons. On October 23, 2025, 3 days before the demolitions began, human rights lawyer Femi Falana, SAN, secured an interim injunction restraining the Lagos State Government, the Attorney General, the Commissioner for Physical Planning and Urban Development, and LASCA from further demolishing structures in the community. The order was duly served and acknowledged, but the Babajide Sanwo-Olu administration blatantly disregarded the court order and continued on its demolition spree. Over 10,000 persons were forcibly thrown out onto the streets. In Makoko, where demolitions are ongoing, this is a community, a historic community of over 100,000 residents and more. The demolition started since December 2025 and have affected more than 3,000 homes and displaced 10,000s of people. It has consistently abandoned its constitutional and moral responsibility to provide basic infrastructure and social services for residents, including sanitation, potable water, healthcare facilities, quality schools, waste management, and support for safe housing. Instead of addressing these failures, the same government now weaponizes its neglect as justification for demolitions, punishing communities for conditions the state itself helped create. From Kenya to South Africa, governments are operating informal settlements to improve residents' quality of life. In Nigeria, the Lagos State government is using violence to illegally acquire land, render people homeless, and increase crime. Just last Monday, or this Monday, Sanwo-Olu defended the demolitions, saying his government would provide palliatives for Makoko victims. We condemn this heartlessness in its entirety and reject this offer. The residents of Makoko and other affected communities across Lagos are not beggars. They are hardworking people who for years have been supporting themselves despite the disgraceful neglect by Sanwo-Olu's administration, as well as past governments in Lagos State. They do not need handouts. They need their homes, their schools, their clinics, and their source of livelihood back. Equally troubling is the Lagos State government's persistent disregard for the rule of law. In 2017, the Lagos State High Court ruled that forced evictions without proper consultation violates the right to dignity under Section 34 of the Nigerian Constitution. The ruling came after the 2016-17 Otologbame evictions, where thousands of waterfront dwellers were displaced. Again, in August 2025, Justice F.N. Ogazi of the Federal High Court, Ikoyi, Lagos, restrained the Lagos State government, its agencies, and the Nigeria police force from carrying out any further unlawful demolitions or evictions in the Makoko, Okabon, Shogunro, and Iwaya waterfront communities of the state. Delivering the landmark judgment, the judge granted an injunction to protect the settlement, citing the continuous threats and fear of imminent demolition faced by residents. Justice Ogazi also awarded the sum of 3.5 billion in damages against the Lagos State government and the Nigeria Police Force for previous demolitions, ongoing threats, and the unlawful killing of a community leader. The judgment further restrains police from harassing fishermen carrying out their traditional work on the Lagos Lagoon. But till today, the 3.5 billion naira remains unpaid, and Sanwo-Olu claims he's unaware of the judgment. Let's even talk about the failed $200 million World Bank loan slum upgrade. In 2006, the Lagos State government identified 9 slum communities to benefit from a 200 million development initiative financed by a loan from the World Bank. The Lagos Metropolitan Development and Governance Project involved building or upgrading schools, hospitals, markets, and other facilities in the informal settlements of Agege, Ajegunle, Makoko, Badia, Iwaya, Makoko, Ilaje, Bariga, and Ijesha-Tedo, Itire. However, a 2014 Premium Times investigation found that all the government did for Makoko was to sink a borehole that did not work, and then install an old transformer instead of a brand new one as specified by the World Bank. The project was expected to benefit 1 million people out of a state population of around 17 million as of the time. By the time it ended in September 2013, the World Bank rated the government's implementation of the project as unsatisfactory. It is part of the World Bank's policy that when slums are upgraded, residents should not be displaced, and inconveniences should be kept to a minimum. Despite this provision, in 2014, barely 1 year later, the Lagos State government embarked on an aggressive demolition of major slums across the states. We recognize that governments have a duty to regulate urban spaces and ensure safety. However, genuine urban renewal must be inclusive, participatory, and rights-based. Slum renewal cannot mean slum removal. It must prioritize improved living standards. It must upgrade infrastructure and secure tenure for residents, not erase history, culture, and so many livelihoods in the name of development. For instance, in Nairobi, more than 100,000 families live in Makuru, an informal settlement that has existed since the 1980s, despite chronic neglect and the absence of basic services such as water and sanitation. Instead of destroying the community, the Nairobi government chose collaboration over coercion, working with residents to upgrade the area through restructured housing layouts, new roads and drainages, and the limited relocation of homes situated in high-risk zones. Crucially, most residents were able to remain within their community, protecting their jobs, social networks, and sense of belonging. Cape Town offers a similar lesson. There, informal settlements built on flood-prone land were made safer not through eviction, but through reblocking, rearranging homes to reduce flood risk, prevent fires, and create access routes for emergency response. Lagos State can take a cue from these cities if it is at loss of what to do. Our demands. In light of the above, we urgently demand an immediate halt to all demolitions and forced evictions with full compliance with existing court orders and future judicial processes. We are asking the Lagos State to immediately provide safe short-term emergency shelter for all displaced families. We're also asking the state government for an immediate provision of learning support for children it has displaced from their schools, and for access to healthcare for those it has injured and brutalized in its course of land grabbing. We're also asking for full compensation for all homes, schools, health facilities, and livelihoods illegally demolished. We're asking for compensation and redress for victims of brutality and abuse, including families who have lost loved ones during these senseless demolitions. We're asking for an immediate initiation of a transparent, inclusive resettlement plan developed in consultation with affected communities. And for all displaced residents, we are asking for access to housing, education, healthcare, livelihoods, and basic services. Finally, we're asking for a public apology from Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu and the Lagos State government for the harm, violence, deaths, displacement, and mass suffering it has caused. We're demanding accountability for the use of force and killings by state agents during the demolitions. Lagos cannot claim global city status while treating its poorest residents as disposable obstacles to profit. Development that destroys, displaces children, kills babies, and criminalizes poverty is neither just nor sustainable. The people of Makoko and other affected communities are not enemies of progress. They are citizens whose rights, dignity, and futures must be respected.